What's happening out there, gym owners? We are killing it today. Sort of. We haven't even started yet, but I know we're going to kill it just because it's a mindset, right? You got to walk in with a batitude, right? You know, that's the one good thing about growing up Jersey. It's all batitude. It's all pissed off and angry at the world, right? Chip on our shoulder, something to prove. Jersey's a great place. You just don't know it. Some beautiful areas. Where I grew up is like farms, so real beautiful areas up there in the northwest corner of Jersey. Lakes, farms, lots of trees, hunting, fishing, biking, stuff like that. You know, most people think of Newark Airport. That's not the nice part of Jersey. But you know, today I want to talk about like HR, right? You know, I've had a bunch of HR calls and people with my masterminds, you know, to hiring admins, having an employee who got injured, you know, employees wanting to take, you know, time off above and beyond kind of, you know, what they think, what maybe the owner thinks is a little reasonable, you know, employees wanting to, you know, maybe get a second job and stuff like that. And so my first thing is, you know, I want to build a great team, and I want everybody to be happy, and I want everybody to be able to follow their dreams and do what they want and have a great life. And if that means pursuing passions, and you know, if you like to travel, or maybe you're like me and you're really into fishing and stuff like that, you know, you want to take a couple of trips and stuff like that, that's great, right? You know, and I'm all about people pursuing their own personal greatness, and maybe and I understand that everybody has different financial needs, and maybe somebody, you know, you want to get another job and stuff like that. But again, I'm looking to build a team, and the team, in order for a team to win, you have to have, you know, kind of, you know, a singular focus on building the team and building the brand, and I want people to understand that all of those things are okay, but they become not okay when you don't have processes documented, that there's some standards to go by. So like years and years ago, you know, we had a tiny team, or by myself, right? I didn't have any need for any HR protocol. And then once you hired employees, it started to become apparent that, like, you know, if somebody wanted time off, we should have a policy in place. If somebody was sick and needed a couple days off, there should be something in there other than just saying, yeah, take whatever off, right? Because then, you know, what do you do for one versus the other? You got to make sure that you're doing the same for everybody, right? So things like that. So we created our employee handbook. The employee handbook is, you know, our ethos, our company hierarchy, you know who does what, and the reporting structure of, you know, kind of, you know, if you're a coach, you report to Big Mike. If you're, you know, a front desk, you know, associate, you report to Phoebe. You know, the heads, you know, report into me, and such like that. So, you know, just kind of so people understand that there's a structure to things, that they, you know, they shouldn't just come pounding on my door every day, you know, with little issues and nonsense that maybe Mike could handle or something like that. Obviously, if there's anything that they need to talk about, they're always welcome. My door is always open. But, you know, most things can be handled at the managerial level at that point. And also, like, you know, your code of conduct, you know, what does it mean to, you know, what do your core values stand for? What are, in your opinion, what are the fireable offenses? You know, stealing, drugs, you know, berating a client, things like that. And what are your policies for paid time off, if any? What about a maternity policy, a maternity paternity, right? How many of you have female trainers working for you? What if one of them gets pregnant? Do you just tell them to take a hike? You can't do that. In New Jersey, that's illegal, right? And so, you know, and it's just kind of shitty in general, right? It makes you a terrible person. You're not going to really have a lot of good employees if you do that. So, you know, I have a bunch of young females working for me, you know, now, and, you know, and they might not be on the radar of having a family yet, but that's a reality down the road, you know, and you never know when love's going to strike, right? And when you're going to meet that person, and all of a sudden, you know, sparks fly, and everybody knows how babies get born, right? And you know, and the next thing you know, you have an employee who's like, hey, I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to be pregnant, and there's a good chance that, you know, the last month of my pregnancy and, you know, month or so afterward, I'm going to need some time off, right? So, having some type of policy in place so you at least have an idea of what to do, right? And that there's some standardization, okay? Yesterday I got a call from a mastermind member, who had an employee who got hurt, and they had no policies in place. And it's just like, hey, look, and he didn't get hurt on the job, so it's not a workman's comp issue. He got hurt outside the job, and he's going to miss some time with a broken leg or whatever. And it's just like, hey, look, let's use this opportunity. Let's use this as a time to create some policy here. Like, if you get hurt, you're a full-time employee, you get hurt, you could use your PTO if you have PTO. Otherwise, maybe it's a 1 week stipend on your own, and then, it's unpaid, but we'll hold your position, stuff like that. Having those things documented makes a really big difference because it creates clarity. There's nothing worse to the employee-management relationship than uncertainty. And look, and things are changing all the time. So as we've grown as a business, and employees are with us longer and longer and longer, there is an expectation for more money, but there's also an expectation for more opportunity. And you have to clearly lay out those opportunities to people and make sure that they see the kind of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Because otherwise the expectation is like, oh, I've been here for X amount of years, I should just get paid more and more and more every year. And in a small business, that's just not reality, right? If you want that, then you go get a union job or a government job, or you have then, it's just based on time in and stuff like that. We're entrepreneurs. This is capitalism. This is America, right? I cannot just continue to pay people, right, over and over and over again if the company does not continue to grow over and over and over again, right? The company has to grow significantly in order to give everybody raises, right? If you got 20 employees, and even if everybody got a $50 a week raise, right, that's a lot of dough, right? You're talking $1,000 a week then, right? So all of a sudden, a $50 a week raise, which might to the individual doesn't seem like a lot of money, right? To a company, if every year you gave all of your employees a $50 raise just because standard time in, right? That's $1,000 a week, right? So that's an extra, $50,000 a year plus every single year, and there's no way that that's sustainable. The growth of the business would have to be insane. You'd have to be growing at 40% plus. And as a mature business, the likelihood of that happening is just not reality, right? So, and so having those conversations with your employees, having the handbook done, outlining the payroll, outlining how you're going to pay people, outlining how you're going to do PTO, outlining regulations for time off and vacations, regulations for maternity, paternity, and stuff like that, regulations for sick leave, a bereavement, somebody dies in the family, stuff like that. Like, what type of policies do you have in place? Now, here's the one thing I'll say. We've always worked with ADP. ADP is I think it's the biggest payroll company in the world. And, it's not very expensive. But what I make up in price, maybe there's a small HR, like payroll company local to you that's a little bit cheaper, right? But what I make up in price, I gain back in, years and years and years of structure and systems. And they have something called HR 411. And it's a whole back office interface of done for you documents, forms, employee handbooks. And I could even call in to an HR specialist if I have an issue, and they can help walk you through it and tell you what you need to do. Whether, let's say you had to fire an employee, right? Documenting the process, all the paperwork, what needs to be done, how to set up, an exit meeting and all that type of stuff, right? They give you all those things that you need, and I've used a lot of those resources, and they've helped us tremendously. So at the end of the day, gang, HR is always going to be an issue as you grow. As you grow, there's going to be more people, more problems, right? And it's a great thing to grow. It's a great thing to scale. You shouldn't be afraid of it, right? It's part of being an entrepreneur. It's part of going into business, and it's part of growing, right? If you don't want to grow, then don't grow, right? Just stay a singular guy in your garage or whatever. But the reality is that, you shouldn't be afraid of it, but there's a lot of help out there. There's virtual assistants, virtual HR, and a great company like ADP or Paychex or one of those bigger companies has a lot of that stuff done for you, and you can get a lot of help from them, and that'll help you systemize. But, organize, systemize, get your HR structure down pat. If you hire an admin, that should be one of the first things that they work on, is creating some type of back-end HR structure. Take that to the bank.